Johnny Gillespie. I'm a certified nutritionist. Been in the field for 45 years, so I must love it, right? But the reason why I got into it was because I had a family, I'll tell you the same story, that really had a lot of health issues, and I decided that I needed to find the answers. And because it's so many years ago, there wasn't a lot available in that field. So I really had to work hard to get where I am today. And I feel that we finally reached a pinnacle where now there's an interest in nutrition. We finally have gotten here, but believe me, the road has been a tough road. Really tough. But I love what I do. That's why I've been in the field for so many years. And I will continue in this field probably till the last day I have, the last breath. Because, why quit from something that you absolutely...
My name is Sneha Glam.
Nutrition.
Yeah, so I was a big girl my whole life. Ever since I was born, I was really chubby, and I was bullied all through elementary school, through middle school. Didn't have any friends, very introverted. I didn't really know any other way. I was given everything that I wanted since I was really little, so I didn't know anything about nutrition or health or fitness. Everyone in my family is big as well, so that didn't help much. I was given fast food and never anything at home. And then when I got to high school, I was morbidly obese, and I had gone up to 245 pounds. And I was sick. I became really sick, and I wasn't healthy. I wasn't happy. And when I decided to invest in my health and change my life, I went full out. I stopped drinking anything but water. I went on a high protein, low calorie diet. I started doing cardio. I started walking at first because that's all I could do. And as I progressed, I got better and better. And as I got better and better, I felt better and better. So that made me keep going and keep losing weight and keep my motivation. And then I was motivating others, which motivated me even more. And then when my fitness got better, I became a Zumba instructor. And then I became a P90X instructor, an insanity instructor. And fitness became a huge part of my life. And I absolutely loved it, and I loved influencing people, and I still do today. And once I got to a certain point, I didn't know how to stop. This was because I had to teach myself everything. So all I knew was eat less and exercise more. So that's what I did. And I got really low, really low, to the point of anorexia. I was 118, my lowest weight, and I thought that was fine because for my body frame, a lot of people would ask me, like, do you weigh 115, do you weigh 120? And so I had it embedded in my mind, like, maybe that's what I should be. And people influenced me to keep going, so I kept losing weight, and I got body dysmorphia, which led me to bulimia, and I was doing that for a while. And I got lost in that world. So I've been to both extremes. So I've been through everything that anyone has been through. I've been through binge eating. I've been through, bulimia. I've been through huge body dysmorphias. I'm never happy. Didn't know what I wanted anymore. Always just not happy with myself. And then I found weightlifting. And weightlifting literally saved my life because I realized I can still eat and still go to the gym and see results and get inspired and just make changes, but good changes, healthy changes, and keep healthy fats and all those things in my life. So that's where I'm at
now. Portions is what they're trying to do is give you a guideline on how much of a certain food product that you're digesting that will be valuable to balance it out with all the other nutrients. If you're eating too large of portions, then a lot of times you are not allowing yourself to get the other nutrients from the other foods. So if you eat a big volume of one thing, then you're not going to be hungry for all the other important nutrients that the body really needs. So portion control is extremely important. In that way, you're going to get values from all different nutrients. your stomach can only hold a certain amount of food. And a lot of times, if you get too much, then the stomach will begin to stretch. You start to store more calories than is being burned off. And then the beginning of the journey is obesity. So you do want to keep your portions down. But everyone has a certain portion. Not everyone's going to eat the same portions. So that is something that we have to figure out. Figure out what the portion is for you.
Portion control is basically everything. A lot of the American diet will tell you that you need these big portions. You go to a restaurant, you get these huge portions. And that's the whole issue, is they eat that one portion and then they're not hungry for 5 or 6 hours. And if you're not eating every 3 to 4 hours, your body's metabolism is going to go down. And you're not going to be burning the amount of calories and fat that you could be if your metabolism was up to par. So portion control is very important. I use it in my everyday life, and I make sure that everything is very portion controlled, especially because I love to eat and I love food. So if I can eat every 3 hours, I'm happy.
Well, a lot of times, genetically, it changes over time. And because of each and every generation starting to change the way that they eat, the behaviors that have fallen into place, and we'll look at the generation today. So in comparison, we'll say to 25 years ago, there was so much more activity that the children used to be involved with. They'd get out and play, they would participate in so many different activities just within the neighborhood, and those activities are gone. Everybody is sitting home in front of their little iPads and computers and iPhones, and they're not moving. So movement has a big impact, I think, in overall obesity, definitely. And each and every generation, as they become a little heavier, they pass it on genetically to the next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation. And so, yeah, we've got to stop the movement and start adding more activity within the younger generation, encouraging them to eat foods at home as a family, not so much the fast food, stop at the drive-throughs on their way home, and really go home and participate in a family home evening meal is so important. So behaviors need to get really back to where they're a lot healthier as a family. We've gotten away from it. So yeah, big difference over the years when you really think about where we were 25 years ago compared to today. And that's why we're seeing younger kids with more of an obesity problem.
So food, of course, is a huge thing. A lot of preservatives are added to food now. Sugars are added to so many foods. People are so unaware of these things. Like, they just eat them like it's fine, it's healthy. It says whole grain. It says things like whole grain or whole wheat or healthy or nutritionist, and all of these things are just marketing schemes. They're just trying to make money off of their products. So Americans are being completely misinformed about everything that's going on and being put into stuff. I mean, even vegetables have added sugar now, just to preserve them, and it's disgusting. So that alone is a huge thing. And I feel like that is what is making everyone so big misinformation, and not looking into that misinformation because of it being easy to consume or to buy for a cheaper price.
Well, it's going to have a big impact because it basically protects the lean muscle mass so that there's enough muscle mass to be able to sustain the body and carry the body. We lose muscle mass on a yearly basis, so it starts about 20 on, and each and every year you lose a couple of, I think 2% of your muscle mass. So when you start really becoming a little more active and slowing that process down, then you'll be able to retain a certain amount of muscle mass throughout your whole life, which keeps you from being frail and fragile and have fractures and all those wonderful side effects of being weak and not having the ability to sustain yourself. So exercise is such an important part cardiovascularly to keep your heart muscle healthy and happy. It's good for the brain chemistry. It just overall, the whole body needs and is starving for physical activity. And without that, it actually starts to die out. So it's like taking care of a plant. You just don't water it. Sometimes you have to give it a little sunshine. You have to give it a little fertilizer. I mean, you have to do all kinds of things to keep that plant thriving. The body's the same way. If we're not moving it, if we're not utilizing the muscles that we have within and keep them from deteriorating and breaking down, then the body will break down eventually. So you do need to get out and move it, emotionally and physically. We could get into the brain chemistry because it really has an impact on brain chemistry too. As you know, right? The endorphins, mind, the mind loves endorphins. So, that can be a natural high right there. So it really helps people to be happy.
Of course, you would say that cardio is important to implement when you're dieting, but I also believe that it's important for your cardiovascular endurance, for your stamina, for your balance, for a lot of things in your life, especially if you're coming from being obese and you're worried about your skin. Weightlifting is an amazing tool to use to tighten that and to make you lean, but not having that skinny fat factor, which is when someone isn't implementing any of those things and they just do diet alone, and then they look skinny but they have cellulite, or they're loose and not tight. So I believe that it is
I think it's been really a disaster. I think they need to go back to the first original pyramid. And then I think that they need to recorrect it just a little bit. So what we're looking at now, and what I recommend, is because the first original pyramid had all the starches on the bottom, meaning that you should eat more starches than anything else. Now we know that's not true, because we know that the fruits and the vegetables are really actually more important value, along with our proteins. Then the starches, the whole grains, are extremely important. But what needs to be on the base of it for all age groups is going to be the fruits and the vegetables, because that's your antioxidants, that's your foundation of so much. The next layer should be your proteins, which will be your good, healthy, lean proteins. The next layer should be your whole grains. See how it's moved up the ladder, I will say, move it up to the ladder. Mm-hmm. And then what you need is maybe a couple of little choices at the top, which could be, maybe a little snacky that's a little, a cookie if you want, or even a glass of wine. Because all things need to be incorporated in, and they all have certain values. So the new government plan for the pyramids are really very confusing for most people, and so no, I don't think it's working at all. I think they need to redesign it so that people will understand it better, because they just don't understand it.
So I never really used the MyPlate. I think that a lot of people will utilize it as a tool or see it as an opportunity of understanding portions, and that's not accurate, because it's not accurate for everyone. Everyone's different. Everyone's body is different. Everyone has a different height, different weight. Even when you calculate BMI, it's not exactly according to what you should be doing specifically. You need to target your entire list of things: your body weight, your height, your age, you're active. Are you active? Are you sedentary? Your job. All of those things. All of those things are factors in what you're supposed to be having every day and how much of it should you be having. And then also, if you're allergic to anything, or if you have any diet issues or anything like that, you have diabetes, all of those things are factors. So as long as you're catering to you, you will know your portions for you.